Tonight, on First at 9 this Friday the 15th of August 2025. The engine of growth, new investments energizing production, key to economic development, claims Deputy Minister of Economic Development. The blunt sickle, IMF conditions impeding attempts to resolve farmer issues, says Deputy Minister of Agriculture. Minister Wasantha Samarasinghe meanwhile reveals plans to import Kirisamba substitute if shortage persists. Catholic concern. Archbishop of Colombo raises concern over threats to the traditional institution of marriage. Obituary notice. Veteran politician and former State Minister Lohan Ratwatte passes away at the age of 57.
Asian Paint Causeway Aquasif Miladikina LED TV run voucher ඇතුළු තවත් හැකි රසක් දිනා ගන්න.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Drisingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world, brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now in a top story tonight, Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayantha claims that new investments which energize production are key to economic development. Speaking at an event in Colombo, the Deputy Minister further states that the current government is highly committed to ensuring transparency. At the same event, Japanese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Akio Izumata, states that the island nation is on its way towards economic recovery and that Sri Lanka is regaining international confidence.
The kick-off meeting to launch Japan-Sri Lanka Committee on Business Environment was held at the auditorium of the Board of Investment yesterday with the participation of Japanese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Akio Izumata, and Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Professor Anil Jayantha.
I just spoke to representative from JETRO Oisan and asked how many investors do we have in Sri Lanka. So he has the number as 145. We have within BOI 70 to 75 companies who are BOI companies enjoying the status of BOI companies. Our intention is that we need to build on this investors that we have to be much more significant in number and in value. And in that respect, several initiatives are being mooted at this stage. We are also looking at few other initiatives. There was an initiative mooted some time ago of wanting to have a Sri Lanka-Japan industrial park specifically dedicated to Japanese investors. We are keen to revive that concept and to see whether we can in fact dedicate a zone for Japanese investors and call it Sri Lanka-Japan Industrial Zone.
Sri Lanka is on the right track for economic recovery, staying within IMF agreement, and debt restructuring has been agreed with Japan and with so many countries already, and Sri Lankan government. The whole country is heading for regaining confidence from the international community by promoting good governance and forcefully forging ahead with anti-corruption efforts. I believe there are three very important basic elements for business environment, for the improvement of business environment. First, transparency. Second, predictability. Third, non-discriminatory treatment. Elements support investors to make decisions for fresh investment and renewed investment, to continuously invest in Sri Lanka and to expand their investment in Sri Lanka.
The economic development is paramount important. How best we achieve this economic development? The key is the new investment. Investment really energizes the production. Without having new investments, we can do very little, that is maybe increase your productivity and solve your existing problems, that and this. Transparency, of course our government is highly committed to ensure the transparency. Then only we could be held accountable. So this is happening and we are highly committed, and that is the reason why we have enacted certain acts to ensure that things would happen in a transparent manner. And investor protection will also be provided. Then therefore, it is not something that someone forced us to do, it is our own requirement to do.
රුපියල් 8,900ක මාසික වාරිකයකට brand new TVS XL 100 යතුරු පැදියක් ගන්න.
Now, Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security and Cooperative Development Wasantha Samarasinha says that the government has allocated 15 billion rupees to support the Paddy Marketing Board and Lanka Sathasa in a bid to bolster efforts targeted at alleviating concerns grappling the paddy market. Speaking at a meeting in Anuradhapura today, the minister went on to highlight a shortage of kiri samba within the market and revealed that the government may import 40,000 metric tons of GR11, a substitute for kiri samba, by December or January if the shortage persists.
The Anuradhapura District Coordination Committee convened under the chairmanship of Minister Wasantha Samarasinha yesterday at the Anuradhapura District Secretariat.
An opposition MP shared pictures on social media claiming that a tank funded by my foundation is being constructed at the moment. Subsequently, allegations were levelled at me, purporting that I sanctioned the construction of this tank to conceal an attempt to excavate a treasure hidden beneath the earth. This is a serious concern. Government officials have shown me pictures of state-owned vehicles being used to excavate a treasure at this site previously. We have lodged a complaint in this regard. If items of archaeological importance are found at these sites, then the relevant authorities must be summoned there. Development at this site can only be launched with a joint collaboration of all these entities. If we don't do that and later it is uncovered that a treasure was stolen, then we will also be accountable.
That's what I want to mention and draw your attention. When you start the program, then there should be some dialogue with the area who are representing the people.
The minister also shared thoughts on concerns pertaining to Sri Lanka's paddy harvest.
This
season, within the Anuradhapura district alone, we have opened up 25 granaries owned by the Paddy Marketing Board. What then is the issue? The issue is that the Paddy Marketing Board purchases paddy at 120 rupees, while paddy is being purchased in the periphery at 110 rupees or 112 rupees. Raw paddy is being purchased at 95 rupees. The Paddy Marketing Board is all set to purchase paddy. Approximately about 15 billion rupees have been disbursed to the Paddy Marketing Board and Sathasa to bolster these efforts. Furthermore, the Paddy Marketing Board has endorsed a set of private representatives. Raw paddy can be handed over to them, who will dry the stock of paddy and then sell it to the Paddy Marketing Board. A kilo of raw nadu rice has been valued at 102 rupees by the Paddy Marketing Board. Therefore, a kilo of nadu rice can be dried up and sold to the Paddy Marketing Board at 120 rupees. We have set up a system that ensures profits for all. At the moment, we feel that there is a shortage of kiri samba. However, the government has a solution to that matter. Accordingly, the government will import a substitute if the kiri samba shortage persists. We have not taken a final decision since the yalla harvest is still being reaped. However, if by December or January the shortage persists, we will import 40,000 metric tons of GR11, a substitute to kiri samba. However, we have not implemented that decision yet. Granaries in Polonnaruwa alone contain about 85,000 tons of kiri samba. If this stock is processed and released, it would probably cool the market. If not, we will have to import kiri samba. We have not identified the need to import other types of rice. That is because this yalla season harvest exceeds that of the previous season. The cultivated land is also up by around 85,000 hectares. Therefore, we believe that we will be able to balance things out. Now, Deputy Minister of Agriculture Namal Karunaratne claims that conditions imposed by the IMF impede on the government's ability to support farmers. He made these remarks during a meeting held to discuss concerns grappling the farming community.
As Sri Lanka's farming community continues to grapple hardships on several fronts, Deputy Minister of Agriculture Namal Karunaratne engaged in discussions with the Kaurula farming community to address pertinent concerns. Deputy Minister of Housing TB Sarath and several other officials also took part in the discussion. Airing out their grievances to the two deputy ministers, farmers demanded a 140 rupees certified price for paddy.
When we took over governance, the production cost of a kilo of paddy was reported to be 99 rupees and 75 cents. Let's round it up to 100 rupees. Our stance was that 30% of the production cost must be added to the payment owed to the farmer. We must provide fertilizer to farmers at a price less than 5,000 rupees. The President in fact agreed to these proposals. All approvals were subsequently granted. However, our plans were stalled. Who stalled it? The IMF did. We must abide by the conditions outlined in the IMF agreement.
At the meeting, Tensions also erupted over lack of action taken to combat the overwhelming influence exerted by large-scale rice millers on the paddy market. Farmers claimed that the government's initial proposal to strengthen small and medium-scale rice millers as a solution to the pertinent issue has not reaped the intended results. Farmers went on to outline that the 50 million rupee loan scheme proposed by the government to strengthen small and medium-scale rice millers has been rejected by the vast majority, citing extremely stringent terms and conditions. Meanwhile, the Divisional Secretary of Kindia has declared 2,500 acres of paddy fields and land in Wan Nala Kantale out of bound for residents in the area. The order issued by the Divisional Secretariat has prompted widespread discontent within the community. The escalating tensions garnered the attention of Trincomalee District's MPP parliamentarian Roshan Akmimana, who arrived at the scene to probe the matter. During discussions with the affected community, MP Akmimana revealed that the Divisional Secretary's order comes off the back of an order issued by a district court of competent jurisdiction. Subsequently, the farming community urged MP Akmimana to delay the implementation of the order in a bid to allow farmers to cultivate crops this season. However, tensions continued, notwithstanding the minister's efforts to resolve the situation.
හොඳම ෆෝන් එකක් ගන්න. ළඟම බාන්ස් එකට යන්න.
Now, Minister of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation Bimal Ratnayaka says increasing the daily wages of plantation workers has become a challenge for the government. Minister Ratnayaka added that the Ministry of Plantation and Industries and the Ministry of Finance are continuously intervening in the matter. On a separate note, the minister states that steps will be taken in the future to provide bonuses to profit-making depots of Sri Lanka Transport Board. Now, the Institute of Policy Studies warns that around 16,000 jobs in the apparel sector will be at risk due to the US retaliatory tariffs. The US revised its tariff rates on Sri Lanka to 20% from the 44% announced in April. Sri Lanka's apparel sector is said to be given a massive blow by the new tariff rates, endangering Sri Lankan apparel exports, which are expected to tumble by 12% according to the Institute of Policy Studies. Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation KD Lanka pledged to provide prompt solutions to all issues faced by the Government Service Association in the near future. Addressing the media during the 99th anniversary celebration of the Government Service Association this morning, Minister Lalkantha noted that the NPP, which only secured 3% of the vote in the previous election, was elected to office as the public rejected previous political leaders. Meanwhile, also addressing the media, Deputy Minister of Labour Mahinda Jayasinghe noted that land has been allocated for 4 companies to illegally cultivate cannabis in the Biyagama investment zone. He further stresses that this initiative will not allow legal export of cannabis or any other related illegal activity. Now, Energy Minister Kumara Jayakodi announced today that the tender for the Mana wind power plant project previously awarded to the Adani Group will be reopened. Speaking at a press conference at the Department of Government Information, the minister added that Adani is welcome to submit a fresh bid.
At a meeting chaired by the President on August 13th, it was decided to temporarily hold construction of the 20 megawatt and proposed 50 megawatt wind power plants in Mannar. The suspension aims to address local community concerns. Energy Minister Engineer Kumara Jayakodi convened a press conference today to explain the reason for the temporary suspension.
The ongoing project, along with those planned for implementation, will be postponed for another month. A committee has been formed to address the concerns raised by the public and to explore possible solutions. Once these solutions are presented, a decision has been made to proceed with the projects. It has long been predicted that an energy shortage could occur by 2028. These projects are being carried out to address that concern. We as the government are committed to ensuring that the country does not return to a stage where power cuts are necessary.
Based on
the current electricity supply, the annual demand is expected to rise to 5%, and this could increase further with the country's development. Contracts have already been awarded to 2 wind power projects one with a capacity of 20 megawatts and another with 50 megawatts. These projects cannot be reversed under any circumstances. If they are halted, it could lead to serious challenges for the electricity board in meeting the country's future power needs.
ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වෙනවා විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට.
අදානි ව්‍යාපෘතියට දීපු ඉඩමේම තව ව්‍යාපෘතියට දෙනවද එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ඉවත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
එතනම කොටස් දෙකක් තිබුණා මන්නාරදු.
There were two phases of the project, a 250 megawatt project on Mannar Island and a separate 234 megawatt project in Punareen. The Adani Group has withdrawn from them both. Based on our requirement, we are planning to award the project after calling tenders. The Adani Group or any other group can submit bids. The awarding will be based on the success rate and the price offered.
අඩුම මිල ගන්න තමයි අපි එක දෙන්නේ.
Now, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, raised concern on foreign organizations, political parties and political leaders working collaboratively to advocate for same-sex relations and marriages. He made this comment during an event in Colombo yesterday.
A ceremony to confer the honorary title of Agga Maha Pandita granted by the government of Myanmar on the Deputy Chancellor of the University of Verona, Most Venerable Dr. Akuratiya Nanda Thera, was held at the BMICH yesterday. During the ceremony, the credentials were presented to Nanda Thera by Ambassador of Myanmar to Sri Lanka, Marla Than Taik. The event also saw the attendance of Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith.
I request your permission to speak about one particular matter. A series of programs advocating for homosexual rights are currently being carried out with the support of foreign organizations. Sri Lankan youth are being recruited to these organizations. I got to know that certain political parties and political leaders approve of these programs. Children at times consult mental health professionals and claim that they want to transform their gender identity from male to female or vice versa. These mental health professionals in fact have the authority to amend the birth certificate and declare that a male child is female or the other way around. As per permission granted, the Health Ministry would issue a certificate to them. This certification also allows them to enter into same-sex marriages. We must not harass children who identify as transgender. It is our responsibility to treat all such children with respect. We will not argue about that. However, with deep regret, I emphasize that misleading the youth and sabotaging the natural way of life and marriage by introducing this as a way of life is a threat to future generations. These programs shatter the traditional institution of marriage by secretly amending existing laws and regulations surrounding marriage. These programs intend to drive Sri Lanka off a precipice into a dark future. When we attempt to draw attention to these matters, we are criticized, claiming that we don't respect human rights. Human rights are established based on humanity. If we amend the laws of this country to distort humanity fraudulently, we are merely directing the country towards a dark future. That does not sit right with our culture. These programs completely sabotage both Buddhism and human civilization. I humbly request the Buddhist clergy to pay attention to this concern in order to protect Sri Lankan society. A veteran politician and former State Minister Lohan Ratwatte passed away this morning at a private hospital in Colombo after a prolonged illness. He was 57 years old at the time of his passing. Born on June 22, 1968, Ratwatte entered Parliament in 2010 with the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and later became a founding member of the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna. He served in Parliament until 2024, holding key deputy and state ministerial roles in highways, rehabilitation, plantation, industries and agriculture, including under the administration of Ranil Wickremesinghe. Following his passing, several politicians, including former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, visited the hospital to pay their respects. His remains were brought to Kandy this afternoon. Public viewing will begin tomorrow at his residence. The funeral will be held on the 17th at the family cemetery in Nittawela. Welcome back. Now in your political news, leader of Sarvajana Balaya parliamentarian Dilip Jayavira claims that there is a hidden agenda afoot to use opposition parties as bait to stabilize the government's future. The parliamentarian stated this while commenting on yesterday's meeting between several opposition representatives.
Opposition representatives gathered at the residence of former Minister Professor G.L. Pieris yesterday to discuss the opposition's political future.
නෑ නෑ අපි එහෙම මොකුත් නැහැ මේ සාමාන්‍ය දේශපාලන සාකච්ඡාවක් අපේ රටේ සිද්ධ වෙන මෙතන ඉන්නේ ඔක්කොම පරණ හිටපු ඇමතිවරු මේකවල අත්දැකීම් සහිත අය. ඉතින් අපි කල්පනා කරුවා අපි යම් කණ්ඩායමක් එකතු වෙලා මේ පවතින කාලීන තත්ත්වයන් ගැන සාකච්ඡා කළ යුතුයි කියලා. කිසි ලෙසකින්වත් සම්දානයක් හදන්නවත් අපේ අදහසක් නෑ.
අපි පුජ්‍යලයෝ හැටියට සාකච්ඡා කළා රට මුණ දෙන ගැටලුව අර්බුදය ගැන. කිසිම දේශපාලන සන්දානයක් හදන්න හෝ ආණ්ඩු විරෝධී සන්දානයක් ගොඩනගන්න නෙවෙයි. දේශපාලන නොවන වේදිකාවක් නිර්මාණය කරගන්න තමයි අපේ උත්සාහය.
අනිත් එක අද අපි යෝජනා කරා විපක්ෂ නායක සයි ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමා සමග මේ වේදිකාවේ නිරල යුජිත කියලා සාකච්ඡා කරන්න ඕන කියලා ඒ එකමතක වුණා.
ඒතර හිතපු ජනාධිපති රනිල් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරා. එදා විපක්ෂ නායකතුමාත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරා. ඒතකොට ඒ සාකච්ඡා ප්‍රතිඵලයක් උනේ නැහැ නේ.
ඉතින් ඒක වෙනම කාරණා උඩනේ. දැන්නේ මේ පදනමක් අරගෙන මේ වේදිකාව හදන්නේ.
In the meantime today, leader of Sarvajana Balaya parliamentarian Dilip Jayavira commented on yesterday's meeting of opposition representatives.
In my perspective, there is a hidden agenda that is being carried out with the intention of using the opposition to assist in stabilizing the government's future. I would refer to these apolitical movements and other coalitions of leaders as conspiracies. Opposition parties should gather with a definite plan, presenting a clear political strategy to walk in an alternative path to form a new government. When speaking with members of the ruling party, we can see that there is an opportunity opening up. However, I don't agree with the attempts to mislead the leaders of the opposition in order to destroy that opportunity, and we will not fall for those attempts.
කිසිසේත්ම මම එකග වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒවට අපි අහු වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ.
ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ කකුලෙන් අදින්න හොඳ නැහැ විපක්ෂේ උනත්.
නෑ නෑ මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ කකුලෙන්
No, the government should be stopped immediately. But in order to do that, we need a definite strategy. Certain individuals in the opposition are still contributing to the government's agenda.
සමාරු කරන්නේ අතගානික.
Now, the US Embassy in Sri Lanka announced that the Independence variant littoral combat ship USS Santa Barbara will visit the port of Colombo on August 16th. This will be the vessel's first stop in Sri Lanka, highlighting strong US-Sri Lanka ties and shared commitment to secure a free Indo-Pacific. The ship will take on fuel and supplies before continuing its mission. Part of the USS 7th Fleet, the USS Santa Barbara supports maritime security, regional stability and forward presence in nearshore environments. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged India to move towards more self-reliance, manufacture everything from fertilizers to jet engines and EV batteries, and vowed to protect farmers in the face of trade conflict with Washington. The Premier stated this during his customary address from the ramparts of the Red Fort in New Delhi on the occasion of India's 79th Independence Day today, which comes as New Delhi struggles with Trump's tariffs and the collapse of trade talks largely due to differences over imports of American farm products and Russian oil.
With the punishing tariffs imposed on Indian exports by US President Donald Trump expected to hurt growth in the world's fastest growing major economy, Modi announced lower goods and services taxes from October, a move that could help boost consumption. In the aftermath of India's 4-day military conflict with Pakistan in May, Indian defense and policy circles have informally referred to the Russian S-400 air defense system, which played a key role during the fighting with Pakistan, as Sudarshan Chakra, after a Hindu mythological weapon. Modi stated that farmers, fishermen and cattle rearers will be the government's top priorities, while urging Indian traders and shopkeepers to display boards for Swadeshi products, using the Hindi word for Made in India goods, pushing further into local manufacturing and self-reliance. He said locally produced semiconductor chips would hit the market by the end of this year, and that India was pushing for self-reliance in producing critical minerals, with exploration underway at more than 1,200 locations. Trade talks between New Delhi and Washington collapsed after 5 rounds of negotiations over disagreements on opening India's vast farm and dairy sectors and stopping Russian oil purchases. Meanwhile, in a ceremony to mark Independence Day 2025, High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Santosh Jha hoisted the national flag of India at India House, Colombo.
Now, Sri Lanka's oldest company, George Stewart and Company, celebrated its 190th anniversary with a series of multi-faith religious events. The ceremonies, attended by dignitaries and company leaders, reflected unity, gratitude and the company's enduring legacy.
George Stewart, widely regarded as the oldest company in Sri Lanka, is celebrating its 190th anniversary this year. The company commemorated this significant milestone through a series of religious ceremonies. The celebrations began with the Buddhist alms-giving ceremony held recently at the Sri Lanka Vidyalaya Pirivena in Maradana. The event was graced by former chairman and member of parliament Dilith Jayawira, current chairman Sarva Amarasekara, director Varun Yamanugama, and several officials of the George Stewart Group. Continuing the commemorative events, a special Christian service was held yesterday afternoon at St. Peter's Church in Colombo Fort. This morning, the board of directors and staff visited the Kadiration Kovil in Bambalapitiya to participate in Hindu religious rites and seek blessings for the company's continued prosperity. Later this afternoon, the team visited the Red Mosque in Petta, where they engaged in Islamic religious observances, concluding a day of unity and spiritual reflection.
Welcome back. Now in your business news, the central bank in a monetary policy report today said Sri Lanka's economy will grow by 4.5% this year. The central bank's projection is above the World Bank estimate of 3.5% growth for 2025. The central bank's report also highlighted some risks to the outlook, stating that external demand conditions and the evolving global economic landscape increase the level of uncertainty associated with growth prospects over the near to medium term. The report added that inflation will continue to accelerate and reach the central bank's target of 5% in mid-2026. Now in other business news, the Colombo Stock Exchange witnessed heightened investor activity and positive sentiment, with the SPI surging past the 20,000 mark by gaining 290 points to close at 20,218. This marks a significant milestone in the ASPI, as the ASPI reached a fresh all-time high and entered uncharted territory. The index experienced steadfast gains and withheld its positive trajectory throughout. The top positive contributors for the day were Commercial Bank, DFCC, LOLC, NTB and Sampath Bank. Strong interim earnings across most banking sector stocks sparked investor interest in the sector, contributing to today's overall market rally. Increased participation from both retail and high net worth investors lifted the day's turnover to 9.5 billion rupees, marking a 49% increase from the monthly average of 6.4 billion. The banking sector dominated turnover, contributing to 22%, followed by the capital goods and diversified financial sectors with a combined contribution of 39%. Foreign investors remained net sellers with a net outflow of 18.8 million. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.